Welcome back, everybody. We're in chapter 5, Motivation, part 2. We talk about organizational justice, the degree to which individuals feel fairly treated at the workplace, which is a super, super important thing. This stems from our childhood, believe it or not. And my listening audience, unless you're an only child like I was, if you have any siblings, the following definitely transpired unless you were perfect angels. And if you're perfect angels, you're a bunch of liars. Okay? Mom, you're not, how come so-and-so, how come Bobby or Timmy or Moishi is being treated better than me? How come they got more money than me for their Hanukkah present or their Christmas present or their Kwanzaa present? Why are they getting an extra ice cream and I'm not? Okay? The same can be translated into work. Boss, why are you giving so-and-so who just got here more salary than me? I'm senior to them. All right, so let's move on.
Yeah.
Organizational justice. Procedural justice has been shown to have a positive impact on a number of effective and behavioral reactions. So procedural justice means the procedure that you use is fair and whole. Meaning, if somebody, let's say we have a procedure that if coming in late 3 times you lose a day of pay as punishment, that has to hold true for anyone in the organization, from the newest employee to the least favored employee to the most highly acclaimed and loved employee. Everybody has to be treated fairly and equitably. If I could steal money from the safe in front of the boss and get nothing done to me, but somebody else does the same thing, gets thrown out. Now again, we both did something wrong, but why would it be that I get away with it for blatant theft, whereas somebody else doesn't? So there has to be, something very, very, it has to happen. Okay? Does everybody still see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So organizational commitment, intrinsic motivation, intent to stay within the organization, organizational citizenship, trust in supervisor, satisfaction with the decision outcome, work effort, task performance, all linked to organizational justice, specifically procedural justice. People are more inclined to interpret decisions as fair when they have a voice in the decision. Decision making is consistent, as I mentioned prior to this slide, and the process and procedures conform to ethical and moral values so that you feel good about what you're doing. You know that it's based on something that you are proud of, as opposed to based on some sort of arbitrary rulings that you make up as you go along. Procedural justice, why does it work? A couple of reasons. Self-interest theory. People want fair procedures because it enables them to obtain desired extrinsic outcomes. When things are procedurally fair, everyone has access to those things. Group theory. Fair group procedures are a sign of respect and indication that group members are valued. If a group of people is being treated differently than others, then that means that you value one or devalue one, depending how they're being treated. If they're being treated better, I guess you're valuing that group more than the other group, or less if you devalue them. But if you treat groups of people fairly and equitably, and everyone is treated the same, everybody in that group feels like they're a valued part. But once you start treating people differently, without any reason, then you run into a lot of trouble. Procedural justice, interpersonal justice. Judgments made by employees as to whether they feel they are treated fairly. Perceptions of justice are higher when employees are treated with dignity and respect. Abusive supervisors are common. Employees who experience bullying and incivility are more likely to quit. So this interpersonal justice thing is a very important thing to look at. Informational justice. Perceive fairness of the communication provided to employees from authorities. Listen, imagine if I had a group of employees and I told some of them, listen guys, I'm really sorry to tell you, company's not doing well. The next 6 months, the 2 of you may be getting laid off. I'm giving you 6 months to look for a new job. So I tell that to 2 people, but not to the other 2 that are also going to be impacted. How are they going to feel when they find out 6 months later that they've lost jobs, while the other 2 that you gave advance notice of that, they've already found a job? They're going to feel terrible. Okay? Keep many channels open and communicate frequently. Better to over-communicate than to under-communicate. One of the things that I'm always guilty of is over-communication, and I'm happy about that. Utilize informal chats and don't sugarcoat bad news. If there's bad news, say it. Talk about it. Goal setting. Goal setting is a result that a person or group is trying to accomplish through behavior and actions. Locke's view, we spoke about Locke. An individual's conscious goals and intentions are the primary determinants of their behavior. Once a person starts something, he or she pushes on until a goal is achieved, providing that the goal is reachable. If you set a ridiculously stupid goal that you could never have reached, then you're not going to persist at it. Harder goals result in higher levels of performance if the goals are accepted by the individual. And it can only be accepted if the person really feels that they can do it. If I set a goal for myself that's impossible, if I tell myself, Professor Roth, let's try to be a Navy SEAL, I'm going to check myself into a mental institution because there's no way in the world that I'm ever going to be a Navy SEAL. If I say to myself, let me make a goal that I'll be able to run 5 miles, I could do that, and I'll push myself to do that. Goal setting terms. Goal specificity, degree of quantitative precision, clarity of the goal. I get it, it's clear, it's crystallized in front of me. Goal difficulty, the degree of proficiency or the level of performance that is sought. When I go to a gym and I want to build muscle, I'm not going to pick up 5-pound dumbbells. I'm going to pick up a 20-pound dumbbell or a 25-pound dumbbell and do multiple reps. It has to be difficult, otherwise it's not going to have its desired effect. Goal intensity pertains to the process of setting the goals or of determining how to reach it. And goal commitment, the amount of effort used to achieve a goal. And commitment is so important. And you hear that word through all professional locker rooms. We're committed to the goal. We're committed to each other. We're committed to winning the championship. Commitment is super, super important. Exhibit 5.10, goal setting applied to organizations. So you have your goal characteristics, bleed into performance, and that is definitely impacted by moderators, your ability, commitment, and feedback. Have to know how you're doing, and of course, then you have your awards, preferred by individual or team or not. Motivation in a psychological contract. Exchange theory. Organizational members engage in reasonably predictable give and take relationships. Per-shine, the degree to which employees exert effort, commit to goals, and drive satisfaction from work depends on the extent to which employee expectations match the organization's expectations. So that's why they always talk about how there has to be a fit between employee and the organization, and both of them have to be on the same page, and the specific nature of what is exchanged. Continuing with the psychological contract, mutual expectations constitute part of the psychological contract. An unwritten agreement between the individual and the organization specifies what each expects to give and receive from the other, can change over time. These implicit agreements may take precedence over written agreements because they really, really hit home. Psychological contract breach. A perception that the organization has failed to fulfill an unwritten exchange agreement. A violation in the psychological contract can lead to decreased job satisfaction and citizenship behavior, how people treat each other within the organization. Managers can influence the motivation state of employees. They must intervene and help create an atmosphere that encourages, supports, and sustains improvement. Should be sensitive to variations in employees' needs, abilities, and goals, and work with them. Must consider different valences for rewards. I may be motivated by money. She may be motivated with a parking space in the garage. He may be motivated with a nice desk somewhere, a nice office, nice corner office. Should continually monitor the needs, abilities, goals, and preferences of employees, and not just depend on HR to do so. Don't depend on everything for HR. Make sure you think about it yourself as well. Need to provide employees with jobs that offer task, challenge, diversity, and variety of opportunities for need satisfaction. So in review, we can describe the role that need deficiencies play in motivating employees and what havoc they can wreak if they're not satisfied. Compare the major differences between the 4 content approaches of motivation Give examples of how the three processes approaches affect employee motivation. Examine how the changing nature of the psychological contract influences employee motivation. And summarize the action steps that managers can take to motivate employees. Good night, and thank you for listening.